Welcome to Why We're Fans. I'm Duran, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Gennaro.
In all of our episodes, we cover the past, present, and the future of all your favorite NFL football teams.
We love hearing your stories, talking the NFL draft, and reminiscing about the good old days.
If you like the same, be sure to subscribe to this channel and like this episode. And leave a comment below if you want to answer any of our questions.
Follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on our latest interviews. And like we always say, win or lose, we're all fans. Enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, how we doing? Hi, welcome back to another episode of Why We're Fans, a podcast about the fans by us, just a couple of fans. It's your hosts, Gennaro and Duran. We're here on this Monday afternoon. It's actually really good weather out here in California. I'm loving it. I got to work outside. Duran, how you doing today, brother?
Good, man. Ready to talk some football. I got a little hyped watching this because, I love good defense.
Yeah.
This team has really good defense, and it was just fun watching that older tape. The old style of defense was just devastating, and I know a lot of offenses were scared of this attitude and the passion that this team brought to the field. So
yeah, I love the Bellick days, man. Those days were just heavy defensive, just edge rushers all day. I mean, they still producing them out. I love it all day. All right, man. Do you want to bring in our guests?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go ahead, man. Give it a go.
Today we got Ingraven. He does Ingraven vids on YouTube. Is there anywhere else they can find you, man? Go ahead and shout it out.
It's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is Ingraven vids, all one word. Perfect. And I'm a Ravens fan, but on the channel we talk football, period. So everybody is welcome.
Love it.
Nice.
That's kind of how I found you. And we're going to put all your links below, so go ahead and follow on through. That's how I found you, just breaking down not only Ravens, but just football in general, the latest topics and things like that. So it's a fun watch, too. I like your style.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It's awesome. A quick little shout out to Three Disciples Brewery. They hooked me up with a 4-pack of Meet the Simcoes.
Meet the Simcoes. Today I'm drinking Cooperage, Moment of Truth.
Oh yeah, shout out to them. They gave me a 4-pack of those the other day. So
perfect. Keep them coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, local breweries out here like to shop local, and a couple of their guys heard our podcast, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
All right, you ready to dig in, G?
I'm ready, man. The question Engravens, are you ready, buddy?
Oh yeah, been there.
All right, so kick it off, man. How did it all start? How did you start bleeding that black and purple?
Back in when was it? Man, it was a long time ago. I grew up in Maryland, and my uncle, he ended up becoming a season ticket holder to the Ravens. Mm-hmm. So back before I was really into football like that, I mean, I liked football, but I didn't really like it too much. I didn't love it like that. They took me to my first Ravens game, and I'm there, and I knew about football, but I was there and just watching the players come out the tunnel, seeing the fire go off, the pyrotechnics and whatnot. And me growing up, I was a big wrestling fan. I was a huge wrestling fan. And that just the introductions of the players, it reminded me of the introduction of the wrestlers. So I was like, man, this is great. Wow, this is crazy how they do this. But then when Ray Lewis came out, everything stopped. And the Nelly Hot in Here song started playing. Ray Lewis came out. He did his Ray Lewis dance. He was sticking his tongue out, going crazy. And everybody in the stadium, they were going super crazy for it. I'm like, whoa, this is wild. And then from that point on, I really started following football a whole lot more and really paying attention to it and diving that much deeper into it. And just fell in love with the team, fell in love with the Ravens, fell in love with their style, fell in love with the attitude. And just after that, the rest was history.
Ray Lewis will sell you. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I know
a lot of people like that. I'm sure there are a lot more Ravens fans too became Ravens fans once they watched Ray Lewis.
Yeah, I was a Cowboys fan, grew up a Cowboys fan. It's in my family, and I love the Ravens because of Ray Lewis. So
one of my favorite linebackers of all time is Ray Lewis, and A guy I got to meet was Patrick Willis, and he told me that his mentor was Ray Lewis. So that was awesome, man. And we had a couple of guys out here I played football with. They're from Maryland. My buddy Walt and B Drive. They're from Maryland. They always just talk up. It was either Ray Lewis this or Ed Reed that.
Yep.
So I mean, when we're in the receivers room, I just always had to hear it, which is all good. We had a little banter going back and forth, but
I think when you speak about those two players, really, I think whenever there's a player, like if you're playing organized football, if you're playing street football, and there's a player that you would try to emulate your style after, then it's really somebody that made a big impact.
Yes.
On the football field. So,
did you play football at all?
I never played organized football.
No,
never. I was not back in high school. Wasn't focused enough at all. Never. All right. I had even I had bought cleats. My mom bought me cleats. She bought me a mouthpiece. She bought me everything. Okay. And she was so upset when I didn't end up playing because I went to practice for like a couple of days, but I was focused on other stuff like outside of school. Yeah. And she was upset. She's like, man, I spent all this money for you, and but it all worked out in the end, man.
Yeah,
it's all good, man.
So you're the second guy in a row, and usually I'll pop in with the question, do you know any season ticket holders? You're the second guy in a row. We had a Saints fan on last night, 2 days ago, but his uncle was also a season ticket holder. Did you ever get the old pitch down? I can't make it to the game. Here you go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's nice.
And me, I live in Miami now. I don't even live in Maryland, but throughout the past couple of seasons, or really for a long time, I will fly up there usually a couple of times throughout the year, go to a couple of games. And I mean, probably my favorite Ravens game that I've been to recently was a couple of years ago. My favorite experience, because you reminded me of it, was a playoff. Well, not the playoff game, Week 17 game, back in 2018 season in Lamar Jackson, his rookie year. It's Week 17. It's Ravens Browns. If Ravens win, they get in. If they lose, they're out. So everything's on the line. Season's on the line. And my uncle, I wanted to go to the game. And he was like, "Oh man, I can't go. So if you can go, you could take two of your buddies too, because he has three season tickets." He's like, "If you want to take two of your buddies?" I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm with it. I'll do it." So I hit up my boys, and they came to the game with me. It was crazy too. That was the craziest Ravens game I ever been to, because the stadium, it was rocking. It was so loud because the game came down to the last play. Ooh, it was crazy, man. But he has had some times where he'll be like, "Oh, I can't go to this game. You want to go?" Then there's another time that the following season in 2019, where I asked him too late because it was a Ravens-Patriots Sunday night football game. I'd never been to a Sunday night football game before. And Ravens were playing the Patriots. And I mean, man, this is Tom Brady coming into town. And Ravens-Patriots have sort of an outside of division rivalry. Yeah. And I'm like, man, this will be a great game to go to. So I asked him, I was like, "Hey, could I get the tickets?" And I asked him like a week earlier before the game, a week or two early before the game. But he was like, "Oh man, I already gave away the tickets. You should have asked me early." And I was like, "Oh man, yeah, that was painful right there, but it's all good."
Yeah, that's shout out to Uncle, man. That's an awesome uncle to have.
Yeah, he is.
Sure.
Damn, man, we're both uncles, Duran, man. We gotta.
I know we gotta step
our nieces and nephew, man.
Get some season tickets going. Do you remember the very first Ravens game that you went to?
I do remember the game, but I don't remember. They either were playing the Titans or the Steelers. It was one of those two. I forgot which one of them it was.
Two heavy hitters.
Yeah. I want to say it was the Titans, but it might have been the Steelers too. But I don't remember who they were playing. But I know they did win. And it was at M&T Bank Stadium. One thing that I do want to do is go to more away games. Well, when stuff gets normal, or whatever normal is gonna be. When that time comes. But
I think I'm on that. I think I'm on that train too. I want to start hitting up these new stadiums. The new one in LA, Vegas. I love Atlanta Stadium. So yeah, I want to start knocking those things out as well.
Do you have one in particular that you want to go to first?
I mean, he got on the Cowboys hat, and I would love to see that screen in person, and just that $1 billion stadium that Jerry Jones put together. I would love to go there because the only away games or other stadiums that I've been to were Miami, The Hard Rock Stadium. They done some upgrades to it recently, but over the years it hadn't really been anything special. But even with the upgrades, it's okay. It's not anything like, oh man, this is awesome. But and Jacksonville. Been to Jacksonville, but that's it. So I would love to go to even a Bucks game. I'd even drive up a couple hours to go see the Bucks. But I would love to go to the Jerry Jones world.
I always encourage people to go. I've been to a few games there, and they're really nice to that incoming fans from the other team. And I think it's just because it's such a destination stadium that they're used to having other fans there all the time. Yeah. And the only advice I have is do the tour the day before so that you really soak in the stadium. Then on game day, you could actually watch the damn game and not stare at the screen the whole time and look around and things like that. So,
okay, that's cool. I
do the tour the day before. You'll get to see everything, the suites, catch up, pass on the field, and you get to do everything like that. And then you can enjoy the game. So go check it out. Go check it out. Did
you ever get to see Dion donning the 37 purple jersey or what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I went to one game, the Dion 37 year. I want to say it was against the Bills. But yeah, that was different. That was like, man, Deion Sanders coming to play with the Ravens. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm with it. And when he got a pick six, I went crazy, man. I was like, man, okay, Deion still got something left in the tank. He did get hurt that year, but it was cool to see him come back. It reminded me of sort of NBA, because in football it doesn't happen too often. Every now and then, where an old player he'll come back and play again, but NBA it happens a lot more times in NFL, where these players, where you think, okay, they're gonna retire or they're done playing, then all of a sudden, okay, hey, I'm back. What's up?
Yeah.
And Deion showed up to play for the Ravens. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, he's a little older, but I'm with it. If he can bring something to the table, okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize he took 3 years off in between that Washington.
Yeah, 3 years.
He chose 37 because of his age at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's crazy. Especially for football too, because football is physical.
Yeah.
It's such a physical sport. And it was a lot more physical even back then than it is right now. And for him to come back at 37 still play. Props to Deion, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of surprised to see Jason Witten come back. I mean, the position that he plays, and he came back. I mean, I wasn't too excited. It didn't move the needle for me, but to see him come back after all the experience he has and all the hits he took, I mean, hey.
You know, I remember when he retired. Yeah, then he unretired. I was happy that he came back to NFL. And I know you're a Cowboys fan, so no offense or anything, but
was it because he got out of the booth or what?
Yes.
Even I hated it. That was a horrible. Was it him and Booger? Oh man,
yeah, I hated that.
It was so bad, man. It was so bad.
Yeah, he was like, I'd rather get my one catch a game for 2 yards each game than go back and get trashed.
I remember them commentating a national championship game, and Booger was so hungry. He goes, "Can you bring in some wings?" And they're sitting there eating, talking on the mic. I was like, I can't understand you guys. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Eating chicken tenders, not caring. I was like, come on, guys.
That was a fail for sure. For sure.
Swing and a miss.
Going back to how it all started, do you remember your first Ravens jersey?
It was Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
It was at my first Ravens game. I spent, I think it was $80 and change on a Ray Lewis jersey. And I still have it till this day.
Nice.
Is it stitched?
No, it's not stitched. It was one of the painted on jerseys, and it's still standing, but it's looking a bit rough right now.
Is it Reebok?
It is Reebok. Let me see. Let me go get it real quick.
Go grab it. Yeah, I mean, back then, I don't even know if Reebok made stitched jerseys. They were all the painted on ones.
Oh, okay. I could have sworn I thought they did, because
I thought that was something that Nike started bringing back with, trying to make money.
Oh, I guess it's not in too bad shape.
Oh, no, that's
real good shape.
No, I could tell you've worn it. You're a good fan. But
the Ravens is fading a little bit, but it's still in
that's old school because it has a shield on the arms, and they don't have that anymore, right?
Oh,
It's probably because the players all cut off their sleeves.
Very true. Very true.
Nice.
But
I
I
love
always
it.
like
That's a
that. They try
first.
to incorporate that Maryland in there as well.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so I mean, I don't like what Maryland University is doing with the helmets, but I like.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
the jersey that I want. I love the Maryland jerseys with all the Maryland flag on there and stuff.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people think it's really ugly, but
It's just too busy for me.
It's too much. Like we're Texas fans, so we're used to this the plain like
plain
white-
colors. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like the all white uniforms. Those are the dopest uniforms in college. So
And the Ravens all blacks.
those are
Yeah. The
Well,
Ravens
it's-
all
it's
blacks.
Scary, just like I can't imagine that because like they had Nada up front, then you got Ray Lewis and Trails and T Sizzle, and then you got Ed Reed back there.
yeah. We been very spoiled on
Mhm.
defense.
that's a good way to put that. Yes, you guys are spoiled.
Very, very spoiled on defense. On offense, for the majority, haven't been so spoiled with Lamar Jackson ever since he's come aboard. Things have been obviously a lot different because usually Ravens are not must-see TV. They're not primetime TV. Like nobody wants to watch a defensive game, but now all of a sudden you put in Lamar Jackson in, and it's like, okay, Ravens on prime time, and everybody wants to see what they're gonna do, and it's like, oh, it took some adjusting. Like 2019 in Lamar's MVP season,
Yeah.
it was like, whoa, hold up, with a consistent offense that's doing stuff like this, we're not used to this. This is really weird.
That was
and all this
fun year.
attention and national spotlight and media attention that the Ravens were getting, it was like, whoa, where is this coming from?
MVP quarterback that year.
Yeah.
When you're watching the games, I'm just curious, do you have like some type of tradition you do or some type of superstition?
No. I remember before, man, in the Flacco days, before every game, my stomach would just start hurting so bad before every single game, especially like really big games. But now it does still happen sometimes, but no traditions, no superstitions. I watch the game. Just a lot of times I'll be live streaming like on my YouTube channel during the game.
Nice.
But yeah, no, that's about it. I just chill, watch it. There was a time before where I really thought like this was back in the last time they won a Super Bowl, back in 2012 season. I really thought that I had something to do with the outcome of the game, and I felt like my wife did too. Like there would be a game where we were. I remember that the Ravens were playing the Chargers, and we was watching it from our apartment, and my wife was asleep throughout most of the game. Ravens were losing. They're just getting whooped. And she starts to wake up a little bit in the fourth quarter. Then they start coming back. I'm like, hey, you got to stay up. You got to stay up. And they ended up winning that game. And then there was some times when if she would wear her hair down, when she would wear her hair up, they just so happened to lose. And I was like, hey, you got to wear your hair down. You have to, because if you wear it up, they're going to lose. And then I remember during the playoffs in 2012, throughout the last couple of regular season games, I had peppermints, and I think I had peppermints in my in one of my pockets, and I had them in that specific pocket. And I was like, man, I gotta, every time we come here, because we watched it at the sports bar back then, I was like, every time we come here, I gotta have these peppermints in the same exact pocket. And I would wear those same exact shorts every time we went to watch a game, because I was like, I don't want to mess anything up. But so I used to really think that I had something to do with it, but that's long gone now.
Yeah, then you do it a few times when they're losing, and you're like, this didn't mean anything. Come on now. Come on. Couple more things for me. I know you grew up in Baltimore or the Maryland area. Did you ever see any players out in public? Did you ever get to meet any like outside of football?
Yeah, after I had moved down here, I did. I was on my way back down to Miami, and I got to meet Steve McNair at an airport.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
And
it's a great
besides that, no, I don't think so. I mean, me and my wife, we met John Harbaugh, but that was after a Dolphins game down here in Miami, back when because whenever the Ravens, they used to do, they don't do it anymore. Even when stuff was regular, like they don't do it anymore. But they used to, after they played the Dolphins down here in Miami at All Rock Stadium, the fans were able to go to where the Ravens buses were at, and the players, the coaches, they would come out, meet everybody, sign autographs and stuff. So we got to meet John Harbaugh, Ladarius Webb, James Ahedibo, Jimmy Smith. Who else? Somebody else too. But Vontae Leach. Torrey Smith didn't come over. Flacco almost came over, but he didn't come over. But we got to meet some of the players that way. But other than that, no, not really.
Got it. G, you got anything else?
No, nothing else about how it started.
You got it. Well, we're talking about a lot of players right now. You might have dropped a couple of hints, but we're going to take a guess at your favorite player. I have to go with Ed Reed. Ed Reed's my favorite Raven of all time. G, I think there's one guy you got left to choose.
I mean, yeah, I could go. Yeah, I was going to say Dion, but
no,
I'm not. I know. I'm gonna say, ultimately it's Ray Lewis.
Yeah. Mine, definitely both of those guys. Ray Lewis, he just brought that extra.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I mean, both of those guys on the field, they were great. But both of them off the field too. Like, and Ray Lewis, of course, he became known for those pregame speeches. He became known for his voice. And there would be some days, I remember years ago, when I would just sit there, watch all these Ray Lewis speech videos over and over and over and over and over again. I'd be scrolling on my phone through them on YouTube and stuff. And that was huge. Just him speaking to the players, to the team, the way he did that motivation that he gave the players. And then he took that and he would speak to like schools and speak to kids and stuff and all that. So that was cool. But then even Ed Reed too. Ed Reed he's more of a low-key guy. But Ed Reed, when he speaks, I love hearing Ed Reed talk about football because he's so calm, he's so laid back, but he's extremely smart. And you could tell by the way he played that he's extremely smart. And he's a game changer, man. He was a game changer, and from his rookie year, he just made a huge impact.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, they asked the question on which one of them was better. Which one of them was a better player for the Ravens? And I mean, either answer can be right. But I would say Ed Reed. And the reason I would say Ed Reed is because he's been harder to replace than Ray Lewis for the Ravens.
Okay.
I like that.
That's a good one. I like that.
One
thing that I would say is both of them, of course, Hall of Fame, great players. Do you think Ray Lewis could play in the game today? I mean, he could, but to the degree that he did, just the way that linebackers have to cover, the punishment he put on guys, I think it'd be a lot more difficult for him to kind of play the way the game is today.
Yeah.
Ed Reed would be the same exact guy, maybe even more interceptions the way they're passing this ball. But
Ed Reed would be fine. But Ray Lewis, they took a lot of the physicality out of the game of football. And it's like if you tap a player on the shoulder the wrong way, it's a penalty. Yep. Like even in the Super Bowl when Antoine Winfield Jr., what did he catch the pick, I think, or whatever? I forgot what happened on that play. And he does Tyreek Hill, he does his peace sign to him, and they throw a flag. And it's like, come on, man. Like, let these dudes play. Yeah. But Ray Lewis, in today's NFL, because he just you at inside linebacker, you got to have that speed, man. You got to be able to cover, like you said. You got to be able to. Now he was sideline to sideline, but covering that wasn't his thing. And I remember in his last season, he came through. He was big. Oh no, he actually lost a lot of weight so he could cover better because he said that I think he said in the offseason that the game is moving faster than ever now, and he got to cover tight ends and whatnot. So he lost a lot of weight. And I remember week 1, Ravens played the Bengals, and boy, he was struggling. It almost like he was getting pushed around. It looked like he was just too light. But then after, I think, what did he get injured after? I think week 6. I forgot which week he got injured. But he didn't come back into the playoffs. And then when he came back in the playoffs, he was like big Ray Lewis. It was like he had been on the couch for a while.
He's like, I got to play my game.
He gained a lot of that weight back. But
your antler spray.
Oh yeah, the deer antler spray. Forgot about that.
I guess Ray Lewis figured, you know what? I'm getting ready to retire. It's my last ride.
Why not?
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and take care of myself, give myself a little boost on the way out.
Yep.
If he fails
Yeah.
a drug test, I guess he was like, oh well.
Oh, yeah.
And he had one
but
of
yeah,
the best
he had gained a
walk-offs.
lot of weight.
He
So
did.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it was his last year. He's like, he had one of the best walk-offs ever. Super Bowl winning, walked off, retired, and of course, living legend. The Pro Football Reference has him as the #1 linebacker of all time on their Hall of Fame monitor. He's the all-time leading tackler for the Ravens, of course. But what I looked at, it's by 1,000 tackles, which is just nuts. And then, of course, Ed Reed. Ed Reed's #1 in interceptions, #1 in interception yards, #2 in pass deflections. The true ball hawk. I was gonna say, the debate, of course, the two best safeties at the time, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu. I love Troy Polamalu, another Hall of Famer. You can't go wrong choosing either one of these guys. But Ed Reed had twice as many interceptions as Troy Polamalu, and like you said, that game-changing ability. When you get the ball back for your offense, it's such a game changer. Ed Reed, 64 interceptions career, Troy Polamalu, 32. And it's just that one thing that kind of separated him for me.
Definitely. I remember, Ed Reed, one thing I remember about him, it was when he was in college, that speech, like, don't ask me if I'm okay. I'm hurt, dog.
Yeah, Miami.
Listen to that. You can hear the pain and the passion in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that didn't motivate you as a football player or even as a fan, like, you got no pulse, because I remember hearing that. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I want to run through a wall through this guy. You know
Crazy part is that was college. He was a college player making that type of speech.
Oh, that's a good point.
I feel like you don't see that much these days, but
that's crazy. And then you also got that Pat McAfee story where he's talking about how Troy Polamalu read it, and they're like, well, yeah, if Ed Reed was there, he goes, oh, if Ed Reed was there, he would have ended my life. Like, he would have put me in the grave. And like, that's just respect on Ed Reed's name.
Yeah.
And we know Ray Lewis
about the Bill Belichick story about the way he would tell Tom Brady every play.
Oh yeah,
like make sure you know where number 20 is every play.
Look out for 20.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes me actually. I remember them sitting down for that Hall of Fame thing. It was actually Dion, Bill Belichick, Ed Reed, and Bill Belichick says Ed Reed made the best play ever. It was against Peyton Manning throwing to Reggie Wayne, and it's when he did that turn. He was playing middle high safety, and Peyton Manning did a pump fake and thought Ed Reed was going to stay in the middle of the field, but he just turned and did like a speed turn, got the interception easily. And Ed Reed talks about it. He's like, I knew when he pump faked, he was going to go back there. So I acted like I fell for it, turned back around and got it. But man. When they're sitting down at the table talking, have you seen that one where Belichick and Tom Brady, it's like before the week of the game, they're kind of game planning, and all they focus and talk about is where Ed Reed is.
They had to. I mean, it was like you can watch highlights and it's cool or whatever, but it was a privilege to have been able to see Ed Reed play like live, to be able to watch his games live, because like I know with Ravens fans, a lot of us, we have been sort of accustomed to being more excited for the defense than the offense. Of course, over the past couple of years, things have been a little different, but before we have been so much more excited to see the defense than the offense, because we just knew the defense, they were the ones that were going to be making the big plays.
Yeah.
And Ed Reed was just, it was crazy, because with him, he's like, and I think right now Marcus Peters is like the cornerback version of an Ed Reed, because he's a ball hawk, and when he gets the ball in his hands, he's looking to get a pick six or take it back for a touchdown or whatnot. But with Ed Reed, that part of his game, just him being able to flip the field as a defensive player, was crazy. Yeah. One of my favorite games, again, was the final game at the old Cowboys Stadium. That was my favorite game. I remember exactly where I was at when I was watching that game. And I remember, of course, toward the very end of the game when the Cowboys, they came back and scored a touchdown. But then LaRon McClain, he got that long rushing touchdown. Willis McGay, he got that long rushing touchdown. But Ed Reed in that game, the way he picked off Tony Romo twice, he made it look so easy, man. That's the thing about Ed Reed. Not every pick looked easy, but he did it so often. It's like that became the expectation with Ed Reed. Like if 20 was on the field, then you just felt like he was going to get a pick that game. Any game.
Definitely. I see Ravens won that game 33-24. The final game at Texas Stadium, Baltimore. And then the Cowboys get the new stadium and lose to the Giants the first. So they lose the last one at Texas Stadium and the first one at the new stadium.
I don't know how you felt, but man, like seeing Ed Reed in a Jets jersey than a Texans jersey, it was just so weird to see. I hated it. I still have love for, Ed Reed, that guy's a monster, always will be. Mm-hmm. I think he's the chief of staff in
University of Miami.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I remember he was assistant DB's coach for somebody in the AFC for the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then
that would be a great guy to have on the staff. I'll tell you that. But I try to forget about those. It is kind of like we mentioned the Witten in the Raiders jersey. Not many people are going to remember that.
No.
Looking back on his career, I do remember the Ed Reed going to Houston. I don't really remember the Jet stuff.
It was in the same season.
Yeah,
same Texans, season. They signed him and then they cut him.
Yeah,
then he went to the Jets.
It had to be some type of agreement, right? Like he just wasn't happy there.
Yeah, and he was still hurt too. You know what I'm saying? He was injured.
Okay.
So they cut him, and then the Jets picked him up. Rex Ryan, who had been a defensive coordinator for Ed Reed for a while. He was the Jets head coach at that time.
Yep.
So he picked him up.
Makes sense.
Okay.
He had a shoulder issue, was it?
Yeah. There's something with his shoulder. And I know for a long time he had like a pinched nerve in his neck too. Ooh, but yeah, I think the Texans season, I think it was his shoulder.
Yeah. I think we could talk about Ed Reed and Ray Lewis for a whole episode.
Yeah.
But is there any Ravens players that you feel like were a little bit underrated or kind of don't get the love that they deserve throughout the years?
Paul Kruger.
No, not Paul Kruger. He really didn't show up until his final year with the Ravens, and then he went to the Browns. He went to the Saints, and he just disappeared off the face of the earth.
The three guys that I was kind of thinking of right now when I was looking at the pass catching history, there's three guys that are top three in yards and touchdowns: Derek Mason, Todd Heap, and Torrey Smith.
Todd Heap.
They're all top three in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. They were a huge part of the Super Bowl team and things like that. I mean, those guys were some good players who, I think they were foundation players, especially on offense.
Well, yeah, Torrey Smith, he was part of the Super Bowl team, and Anquan Bolden.
Anquan Bolden, yep.
Sure.
Yep.
He was definitely. I wouldn't say he was underrated though, because everybody, especially Ravens fans, they know about Anquan Bolden and definitely appreciate Anquan Bolden.
Out here in the US, we definitely know about that guy.
Yep.
But underrated, underappreciated, maybe I would probably say somebody like a Jared Johnson. He was there through a lot of the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed days. Terrell Suggs, Lodi Nada. So Jared Johnson, he was an outside linebacker, number 95. And he would set the edge a lot, help contain those running plays, guys running to the outside. But he would do a lot of the dirty work, but somebody else would be the one making the play. So I would say him, because he would be a guy that he wouldn't get a lot of the credit, but he was a big help into what the Ravens, what they did as a whole. So I would say Jared Johnson.
That's a good one.
One guy I was thinking about is Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis, yeah.
That guy was a perfect blend of, speed and power.
Power for sure, yeah.
He was I just remember him always just taping the wrists, taping the fingers, and just going at it. Like you see a lot of these running backs right now wearing gloves and everything, but he was just old school, like Roger Craig, like just tape my fingers, tape my wrist, let's roll. And he looked mean too. Like he had those slanted eyes. He just looked so mean. I looked at it and I was like, damn, dude, that guy.
That was the attitude of the Ravens, man. He fit right in.
Yeah, dude.
Fit right in. So let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about some coaches. I mean, the Ravens are a relatively new team in the NFL.
Yeah.
They've only had 3 coaches in their history: Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, and Ted Marchibroda.
I forgot to say his last name.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was. But is it Belichick? Do you like Harbaugh? Which one do you like the most?
I mean, they each have their qualities about them. I think that with John Harbaugh, one of the things that is good about him is when his back's against the wall. Because we definitely, as Ravens fans, a lot of us have our frustrations with John Harbaugh. But he's not a bad coach or anything like that. But I know as a fan of the team, you tend to be more critical of whether it be the coach, whether it be players on that particular team, other than somebody from the outside looking in. But with John Harbaugh, one of the things that is pretty good about him is when his back is against the wall, when a team's back is against the wall, the way that he responds. And I noticed that from even just this past season. The Ravens, they found themselves on the outside looking in when it came to the playoffs, and they had to win the rest of their games in order to get to the playoffs. So they had the Browns, they had to play the Browns, they had to play the Cowboys, they had to play the Jaguars, the Giants, and the Bengals. Now, that is a favorable schedule, but you still got to play the games. You still got to take care of business. And they took care of business, and they made the playoffs too. So they responded. And even if you go back 2 years ago, Lamar's rookie year, it was the same scenario. Joe Flacco started the first half of the season. He got hurt. Ravens were on the outside of the playoffs looking in. The team just looked like they didn't have any life. They inserted Lamar Jackson, who I do think saved John Harbaugh's job that year because Ravens hadn't made the playoffs in a little while, since 2014. So with that being said, he inserted Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens, they responded. They won 7 out of their 8 games, and they made the playoffs. They made the playoffs for the first time since 2014. And that had been a long time for Ravens, because Ravens were used to making the playoffs like a lot over the years. They were used to having a lot of success, but the success had just stopped for a little bit. So that's one of the things I admire about John Harbaugh. With Belichick, I think one of my favorite characteristics about him is just the way that they were just bullies, man. They were just straight up bullies. Those defenses, they're like, no, you're not gonna score on us. We're gonna let you know that you're not gonna score on us, and you're still not gonna score on us.
Like Ray Lewis said, there was dogs in the house.
They were running their mouths, but they were backing it up. So he had the way that he had those guys ready to just straight up fight. That's one thing that I admire about Belichick.
Nice. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think those are both. I like Harbaugh. I mean, probably it's because of the carousel of coaches that I think my Cowboys have gone through, that I wish I had a coach that stable. Go ahead.
And just real quick, the Ravens, their choice before Harbaugh was Jason Garrett.
Oof.
I forget what happened, why it didn't end up going down, but Jason Garrett, he was their first choice over Harbaugh.
I didn't know that.
You could have saved us some headaches. We might have went with Sean Payton instead.
Right?
But Harbaugh does have the best winning percentage for the Ravens, 129-79, 9 playoff appearances in 13 years. He did have that gap right in the middle, like you said, 2014 going on. But what I like about Harbaugh is the recent addition of Lamar Jackson and how he went all in on him. It was the quarterback. Did you guys trade up for him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Traded up, got your guy, pretty much changed the offense along with Greg Roman to run that style of offense. But he had a vision, and that next year he took the league by surprise running that. And then, of course, we know Lamar Jackson won the MVP. But I really like that a coach just is willing to go all in and do something that drastic like that. So shout out to Jim Harbaugh. That was a good move.
Yeah, definitely. I was a fan of the Harbaughs, man. The whole family.
Oh yeah, you had one ditch you.
Yeah, I blame that all on Trent Baalke. I mean, the Hard Bowl was pretty fun to see. I mean, power went out. We don't know if the Niners had anything to do with it. I don't give a shit. That was a game, man. I remember just being so down and out. But
yeah, that was a tough one. One thing I did want to bring up this year, how did you feel? I mean, this had to be it ended up good for you guys about the Titans Ravens matchup. Jim Harbaugh came out when the Titans players were stomping on the logo and, doing a little hoorah stuff. But honestly, you guys got the last laugh with the Peters interception. And then immediately he goes to the Titans logo and you guys do your thing. I mean, do you like the way he handled that?
I loved it. I love that. But I do know the Titans, they were saying that they do that every week. They've been doing that for years, every week, where they all go to the opponent's logo and they just go have fun. They go dance on it or whatever. But I did like it because that was the Ravens letting the Titans know, like, hey, that's you may do that every week, but that's not gonna fly.
Yep.
It's not gonna fly.
Who is it?
And they went on there. They had a whole dance party on that logo. Now I remember that game, for that playoff game, I was still worried because I'm like, hold up, this is still a close game, and if the Titans get a stop, like at first I was wondering if it was going to be a penalty. That's what I was worried about the most. Like, oh no, that could be unsportsmanlike conduct, and you get 15 yards back, so that makes it that much harder to be in position to kick a field goal or to run out the clock. But thankfully, it ended up working out.
It was a penalty, but it ended up working out. I think Peters knew that. I don't think the team would have done it if they knew that, they had it in the back of their mind. They were either going to do it then or they were going to do it at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I remember Devin Bush did that in college. I think they were playing Michigan State. He just cleated the whole Michigan State logo.
Who did it?
Devin Bush.
Devin Bush.
I remember that clip.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
he literally dug his cleats into it and tried to show that logo. He wasn't dancing. He was like, "Man, fuck this logo. Let me just cleat this whole thing."
And that's what I think the difference was. I know you said the Titans guys said that, oh, we do this every week. If you look back all that, they were doing a little bit extra. They were looking at the sideline. They were yelling. They were looking for a little. They were looking for a fight. Probably. Just trying to pump themselves up, getting ready for that game. But I like the way Harbaugh handled himself in that too. It was
when Flacco got hurt and Lamar came in, was it that Kiko Alonso late hit?
Oh no, that wasn't it. That was a year or two before.
Okay.
Flacco he got knocked out, man.
Oh, I do.
Helmet came off and he was like,
yeah, I just remember he looked up and his eyes are just glazed. I was like, oh, he's out. I remember someone saying oh yeah, he asked for his water, and I was like, what? Your helmet.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It's tough to see your quarterback go down. But let's move on just a little bit more away from coaches. We want to know your earliest Ravens memory.
Wow.
Dig deep.
It's gonna be nostalgic.
Earliest memory, I think it's probably what we were talking about, the first game, just being there. But more specifically, what I can really, really remember was it was the Jamal Lewis, the game where he eclipsed 2,000 rushing yards, being there at that game.
You were at that game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, being there at that game where he went over 2,000, it was it was historic. Because I'm like, wow, he did it. He really did it. He went over 2,000 yards. So that's crazy. And that was a really big memory. And another one too was another Browns game where Ed Reed got I think it was the longest interception return in history at that time. I think it was for 106 yards. Because where my uncle's season tickets were at, we were in the end zone where the Browns quarterback, I forgot which Browns quarterback it was back then, but he threw the ball. We were in the Browns touchdown. We were in the Browns end zone. So the Browns quarterback threw the ball. I forgot who tipped it up, but Ed Reed caught it, and that was it. Opposite end of the field, pick 6. So those would probably be the best memories, the earliest memories that I can remember, like specifically off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was 106 versus the Browns. I see it right now, and of course Ed Reed taking it, not kneeling down.
His longest one is 108 against Philly.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Oh yeah, that was
108 yards.
Kevin Cobb, I think, was Philly's quarterback for that one.
Kevin Cobb.
You literally cannot break that record. You can only tie it.
Yeah,
you can only tie it.
Damn,
those are some good ones. I think what I remember, like the 4, I kind of remember the Super Bowl versus the Giants, but not really. But I do remember that Hard Knocks the following year. I mean, just the personalities that they had in there. Ray Lewis, of course, Jamal Lewis, Shannon Sharp,
man.
Rocket Ismail. Another guy really stood out, Tony Saragusa, the Goose. He made his. So I do remember that. That was 2001 Super Bowl team that was on Hard Knocks. And yeah, that was classic. I mean, they still play some of those clips to this day.
They always go back to the rookie showcase of that guy just mocking Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
Always rocking that bucket hat, hella teeth.
Yep, laughing along with it. So now we found out your earliest memory. Do you have a favorite Ravens memory of all time? I mean, you guys have won a Super Bowl in the last couple years. I mean, compared to most people. Mile High Miracle, which was awesome.
That
Lamar's season where he got MVP, anything like that stand out to you?
My favorite game, my favorite Ravens game of all time was the Mile High Miracle, because Ravens went into that game just as underdogs. They went into that game. You knew they had a chance, but it's like, man, this is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is who the Ravens are going up against, and we know he's one of the best to ever do it. Not even one of the best in the league at that time, but one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh man. So just being nervous that game. I remember when for the Mile High Miracle, when Flacco threw it to Jacoby Jones. I remember we were watching it from a sports bar, and I remember just running around in circles, yelling, screaming, almost passed out. But I was just so hyped because it was crazy that. Because those are those situations where it's like, we got a chance, but you're thinking like, oh man, like you're gonna need a miracle for something to pull out a win, and in that case, tie the game up. And then after they scored that touchdown, Peyton Manning, he still had time left. And who was the head coach? I think it was John Fox. Fox, but they had a decent amount of time left, but he had them kneel the ball. Peyton Manning was yelling. He was upset. He was like, he wanted to go for it. And the crowd was booing and whatnot. But then it went to overtime, and the Broncos got the ball. I think it went back and forth first, but Broncos had the ball, and Peyton Manning, the ball got tipped. Corey Graham, he caught the pick. Then Justin Tucker, who was a rookie at that time, he kicked the game-winning field goal. And it was crazy. So that would be my favorite Ravens memory. I mean, besides winning the Super Bowl, but Super Bowl, man, that Super Bowl was fun. It was nice. It was just so long because of the power outage, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Man, it's like you get so hyped. Your team's in the Super Bowl. You all excited and stuff. But the power outage kind of drained my energy for a while. It took me a while to get back into the game.
Yeah.
Was it pass interference?
Nope. Because
of course
Crabtree,
say no.
Crabtree initiated contact with Jimmy Smith. Crabtree ran into him. What do you think? I mean, I kind of.
Am I the tiebreaker? I'm going to say no.
Of course, it was pass interference, man. I mean, we should have ran it with Gore anyway. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
that crazy that Gore is still going.
Oh, Gore is still going. Yeah,
still going.
Do you really think someone's going to pick him up again this year? I mean,
I do.
Adam Gase isn't around to fool. Yeah, he might have fooled Adam Gase one last time before he was out of there. But you think he'll get picked up again?
I do.
You do?
Because the same. It happened to me with Adrian Peterson when he got cut from. I think it was when he got cut from the Vikings. I was thinking, Nah, he's done. Oh, then when he got picked up by Washington,
Yeah.
I was like, he's not gonna do anything. But he looked good.
Yeah.
And he's still playing too. I mean, he's not on Frank Gore's level or age-wise, but I'm just some of these running backs.
He might be up there in mileage with Frank Gore, though.
Yeah. It's crazy to see it, but I'm happy for him. They can keep going. Hey, keep doing it.
Two guys with injury histories in college who, both of them had major injuries, came out and they're still rolling, man. Both of them still rolling.
Especially for a running back. I mean, running backs, they usually last to like 30, 32.
Oh, these guys are.
It's crazy to see how these guys do it, man. That's nutty. You guys have a good one too in Dobbins. Tell you what.
Yeah, I like Dobbins. Dobbins a lot. And Gus Edwards too.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Ravens got a nice little stable little duo of running backs.
Keep them going. Just one thing that I did want to mention about the Mile High Miracle. It had 5 ties, 4 lead changes, and 73 total points. That was more in each one of those categories are tied than the last 5 years before that. So that was just one of those classic games that, man, they were going back and forth, and you hit all the notes that I had on it. Justin Tucker's rookie year, the interception, Jacoby Jones. The other thing, it was so cold that game. Peyton Manning was double gloved up. He had 2 gloves on that game, but classic. We touched on the Super Bowl. That's what I had in my notes, and yeah, I think that hits everything. Anything else, G?
Nah, nothing else. I mean, yeah, he hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, I had to be a homer about my Texas guy, Justin, about Tucker, but it's all good.
Well, you don't win the Super Bowl every year. You don't get the Mile High Miracle every year. Do you have a worst Ravens memory?
Probably 2000. I believe it was 2017. Was the 4th and 12, famous 4th and 12 play. It was Ravens versus Bengals. Ravens, of course, hadn't made the playoffs since 2014, so it had been a while. And the week before, the Ravens played the Colts at home, and all the Ravens had to do was beat the Colts at home and beat the Bengals at home. They're in the playoffs. They beat the Colts on a last-second pass breakup from Maurice Kennedy. So we were going crazy. Okay, let's go. And all we got to do is win one more game at the crib now. Next game, they play the Bengals. It's a close game throughout. But then Ravens, they take a lead. It's 4th down, and it's not only 4th down, but it's 4th and 12. It's like, okay, this is Ravens. They're at home. Crowd's going crazy. This is Ravens defense, so he trusts them more than the offense. Yeah, they got this wrapped up. 4th and 12. Andy Dalton drops back. Hits Tyler Boyd. Touchdown. And, that was painful right there.
Yeah, I think that was a game where I think the Bills donated.
Got them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they donated everything to Andy Dalton's foundation that he has going on.
Right. But that would be the probably most painful one.
Oof, yeah, that is a tough one. I remember that now.
Yeah,
I remember that, the Bengals going down. What about last year? Just the division loss, or 2 years ago, when you guys were rolling Lamar's MVP year, the loss to the Titans again, bringing up the Titans, 28-12. Honestly, the way that the Ravens are rolling, then I thought they were going to roll through the Titans
we all
that
did.
game.
We all did. For that game, for me, that wasn't even painful. Like for me, when Ravens, when they like get whooped, I'm numb to it. Okay. Like if they're like because I'm sitting there and I was at that game too, but I'm sitting there and the Ravens, they just keep getting beat down. And I'm like, okay, well they can come back here. They can come back here, and it just wasn't happening. So I'm just like sitting here like, okay, let's get through it at this point. Hopefully something happens, but if it doesn't, it's like it doesn't even hurt anymore.
Yeah,
it hurts for the games that are close. Oh, those hurt.
Yeah,
for the games when the score's not even close, those it's unfortunate, and I obviously wish they would go the other way, but they're not even that painful, man.
Yeah, that was your guys' 2-loss season. I mean, I know most fans would get themselves hyped up like we're going to the Super Bowl, but
that's how we felt.
Yep. But as we've seen before, Patriots go undefeated, losing the Super, is the way football goes, it's literally any given Sunday.
Exactly.
As you just mentioned, the Bengals fucking beat them and knocked them out. And yeah, I'm sure everyone had their money on the Ravens that week. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yep.
So now we're going to move on a little bit to your future expectations for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Do you want to start, G?
Yeah. So I'm always curious about the 5th-year option. I mean, there's been, news going on that you guys are super far away from any kind of contract extension with Lamar. Mm-hmm. So do you guys see him just do you guys just see him picking up his 5th-year option and then figuring out, or extend him first, then go forward with it?
No, I think the 5th-year option is definitely happening. I don't see any way where they come to an agreement right here, right now with Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I think the 5th-year option, that's the way that they're gonna go, because it gives them more time to build around Lamar, more time to invest in the offense and upgrade the offense, and it gives them more time to figure out things with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
like exactly how much they're gonna pay him now. Every year that goes on, especially if the Ravens keep winning, that price tag goes up. It's gonna keep going up. And I know one tricky thing about Lamar is that he's not the traditional quarterback. So that can tend to make things trickier. But hey, he is your quarterback, and he's a winning quarterback. He plays winning football for your team, and he literally saved this team from continuing to the direction that they were heading in. So his value is through the roof. And like I said earlier, every year that he doesn't get paid, every game, his market continues to go up, and his value goes up. And then what's also going to help him out too is when a Baker Mayfield, when he gets paid, when a Josh Allen, when he gets paid, because those guys all drafted in the 1st round too. Now Sam Darnold, he's probably not going to be in New York soon. And then with Josh Rosen, who was drafted in the 1st round, I mean, he was already cut, and he signed with didn't he sign with the 49ers? Or
he signed a 1 year. Yep.
So yeah, he So some of the other 1st round quarterbacks are making it, and some are not. But Lamar I don't see him getting signed this year, even next year. I think this thing is going to ride out. So
yeah, especially with you guys have like a solid backup, as well. With you guys got
still going to be there. RG3, is that what you're talking about?
I know, but no, I mean, they also got the Penn State quarterback McSorley.
Trace McSorley.
And then also Tyler Huntley, man, he's got some juice in him. Like I was a big fan of him coming out of Utah. I think you guys can mold him into a solid, solidify, backup quarterback. He's got some wheels to him too. He didn't really show that off in college. When I saw him run, I saw the announcers man, I can't tell the difference when they're running, because they have similar running styles. But the arm talent wise, it's not there yet the way Lamar is. But
yeah, he can get there. And I think this year that Tyler Huntley, that he's going to be in competition with Trace McSorley for that backup role. But I could see, and I do see the Ravens probably keeping all three, of course, Lamar Jackson, but keeping all 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. Maybe having one of them not dress on game day, but certainly keeping all 3.
Damn.
Yeah. As far as the 5th round option goes, I think that doing the 5th-year option and waiting is kind of the best move for both sides. Lamar, his price tag per year is only going to go up after that. And the Ravens, like you said, have time to build around him. And, I think that's the way it's going to go. And I think it'll work out better for both sides. So I could definitely see that.
I'm definitely looking at all these free agents. You got Judon, Ngakwe. You guys extended Boyle, Snead, Ingram, Wolf, Skura. Dang, you guys.
Dez Bryant.
Bowser's. Yeah, Dez Bryant. Black Mamba. You got D'Anthony Thomas out there. He's a solid returner. I mean, do you guys see? Is there anybody there that you want to bring back, or is there a free agent out there that you want to bring in for sure?
If it was up to me, I would love for them to bring in Allen Robinson. I feel like he's exactly what the Ravens are missing, but that's just not their style to sign a young wide receiver in his prime. He's probably going to be the one that gets the most money on the market.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't even think he would want to come to Baltimore anyway, because of the Ravens style of offense.
Yeah.
Because he's used to getting a bunch of catches. It's just not going to go down like that with the Ravens. He might max out at like 70 catches, 70, maybe 75 catches with the Ravens, but it's not going to be anything like he's used to getting.
Yeah, you can.
So that's going to make it harder for free agent wide receivers to want to come there. But yeah, if I could have my choice of free agents, it would be Allen Robinson for sure.
That'd be a good one.
What about your guys' free agents you guys have now? Are you guys going to bring back Ngakoue or Judon or Bowser?
I think Judon is gone. I think he's gone. I actually think Ngakoue is going to be gone too. But I do. I'm sure the Ravens are going to try to do something to keep him because they gave up draft picks in the trade with the Vikings to get him.
Mm-hmm.
But a guy who I know a lot of people probably don't really know about would be Jihad Ward. I would expect him to come back, and also Pernell McPhee as well. And those are some edge guys and guys that can rush both from the exterior and the interior. So I really do think the Ravens are going to try to change the way that they do pass rush this year and just get guys that can do multiple things. Because last year they had some guys that can do multiple things, but a lot of their guys they specialize in one thing, especially in Ngakoue. Where Yannick Ngakoue is just strictly a pass rusher. He wasn't good in the run defense. He's not a drop back linebacker, anything like that. He's not going to drop back into coverage. He was just strictly a pass rusher. But I think the Ravens are going to take a different route this year with guys that can get pressure like right up the middle. Because their general manager, Eric DeCosta, he said it in a press conference about a month ago that with the pass rush, he said pass rushes, they're not as important as they used to be. And because quarterbacks are getting the ball out quicker than ever nowadays.
Okay.
So to disrupt the quarterback, if your pass rush can't get there from the outside, the best way to disrupt the quarterback, straight up the middle. Because if you blitz him from the outside, he can step up in the pocket. He can sort of scramble to the opposite side. But if you blitz him from the middle, then they get flustered. Sometimes they trip over themselves and they don't know where to go. Yeah. So I think the Ravens are just going to change the style with how they get after the quarterback this year. And they're going to change their personnel style too.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pernell McPhee. I think what you just mentioned, I think he'd be perfect for that because I like him at both of those, bringing pressure up the middle and from the edge. I mean, that guy's a beast. And if he lives up or if he plays to his potential, that'd be a for sure good signing right there. Also, Calais Campbell, 34 years old, another edge rusher who I know he's there, but he's not the youngest guy in the world. So let's move on to the draft a little bit. That might be where you can get a little bit of help. I mean, you guys don't have much draft capital this year. You have the 27th overall pick, 2 picks in the top 100. I think you don't have a third rounder. Is that true?
I forget. I know you don't have a
I think it's a third round. You don't have a third round pick. Is there anywhere in the draft where you'd like to go with that 27th pick or?
I had you guys. I did a mock and I had you guys taking Rashad Bateman from Minnesota.
Oh, I was literally just watching film on him today, and I feel like if the Ravens are going to get a receiver, it has to be in one of the first 2 rounds, because if they were to get a receiver like in a later round, then that would put less pressure on them to make sure that receiver gets involved in the game plan and make sure that receiver is the real deal. Because if you draft somebody in the first round, it's like, okay, this guy, he's got to be it. He's got to be real deal. He's got to be on point. We got to show that this is our guy. But if you draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th or 5th round, then you can be like, okay, well, he was drafted low, so the expectations aren't high with him. So it's not a big deal if he works out or not. But with Rashad Bateman, I think he's a very pro-ready receiver. I know he said that he runs a 4.37. And when I watched him, I didn't really see that speed. He didn't look slow or anything, but I didn't see 4.37. But his route running is very good. He's very good at creating separation. He catches with his hands, not his body. He is willing to get engaged with blockers. I mean, to make blocks, to be a blocker himself. So that's a good thing. And he doesn't play scared. He doesn't play scared. So that's a big thing. So with Rashad Bateman, I wouldn't mind if we got a Rashad Bateman.
You want to watch more 2019 tape because in 2020, I know he opted out.
Right.
Back in, so you can't really judge it off that. I usually judge off the 2019 as of now because of the strange year that goes on. But a 2019 tape, you can see he does have some burners. But I mean, last year you guys did draft a couple of my favorite receivers in Duvernay and Prochet. Anything thrown his way, he'll catch it. Like I wanted him under the radar, so that maybe the Niners will swoop him up. But that guy he has magnets on his hands. That guy is just, if the ball's up there, he's only like I think 5'10". He'll go out there and get it, and he'll come down with it, which was pretty crazy being at his size.
I'm hoping we get to see that this year. Because with Devin Duvernay, first they just had him on kick returns. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But then they had him on punt returns because James Prochet, he was inactive. But whenever he would be on offense, the main thing that they had Devin Duvernay doing was running jet sweeps. They would have him go in motion, then Lamar would hand the ball off to him, and he pick up some decent yards. But it's like, okay, let's get him involved a little more than that. Yeah. So that's one thing that I'm a bit worried about when it comes to the Ravens this year, is the offense and how they're going to get different guys involved in the games.
Yeah, and I think Duvernay did. Watching him at Texas, he did pretty well with the ball down the field type stuff. So yeah, I don't know what they're seeing there or what it is, but I want to see him get a shot. Yeah. I think Duvernay's a playmaker. So
me too.
I like him. Gee, anything else, man? I think we've covered a lot.
No, I don't think I got anything else for today. I mean, I got one question.
Let's hear it.
Was it really cramps, or did Lamar had a doo-doo?
Yeah, I think he had to take a dump because, I mean, when you saw the walk to the back, it's like, oh yeah, we've all had that walk before. You know the walk. So yeah, I don't think it was cramps. I never believed that story.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first.
Man, poor McSorley, man. He sacrifices ACL so his guy can do it.
Oh yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah, McSorley did get fucked up on that one last. Poor guy.
Man,
poor guy. He'll be back. Well, thanks for joining us, man. Ingraven, tell them where to find you one more time. We'll put all the links below.
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is Ingraven Vids. So again, I'm a Ravens fan, but on the channel, we just talk football in general, football as a whole. So no matter what team you're a fan of, you're more than welcome.
Awesome. You got it. Yeah, I love it. Stick around for a little bit after if you can, off air. That'd be great. Look at Duran's background if you're watching us on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel, share, follow us on Twitter at WhyWe'reFans. We're on TikTok. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast. Subscribe, share. That'd be awesome. Again, if you don't want to, you got to subscribe to this guy as well. I mean, I watch a couple of YouTubes. Man, I love it. They'll be in our descriptions below. But again, cheers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your night.
Till next time.